Hello, my friends. At the end of January, Caleb was welcomed back to Love and DeepSpace. So, in this video, I'm going to show you how I made this charm for Caleb to celebrate him coming back. Alrighty, I'm going to be making two charms here. I'll be using this heart mold like I did for my Fire Emblem charms. One charm will be using vinyl and the other will be using beads. I'll be using this heat gun to get rid of any bubbles in the resin as well as warm the resin in general since it's still cold out. The resin I'll be using is this J-Diction epoxy resin. It's a 1-to-1 ratio and it cures really nicely. I'll be mixing 30 milliliters of resin for each part. It's a bit more than what I need, but it's the amount that is my default just to make sure everything is able to cure properly. And I'm going to pour it off screen because the desk I'm using for the camera isn't leveled. And now I'm going to stir it slowly for 5 minutes to make sure everything mixes well. And once that's all mixed up, I can get to work. When I use vinyl, I put a thin layer of UV resin on it so that I can pick it up and place it inside without any issues. These beads are upside down on the opposite side, which is why the heart mold is also upside down, as it's easier for me to make sure I don't make a mistake. I'm going to slowly add a little bit of resin to each heart. I want to make sure to take care of those micro bubbles before placing the vinyl, and especially the letters. The last thing you want is to have little bubbles in the gaps that are there. Once the names are in, I'll add a bit more resin inside the hearts. They only get filled about halfway right now. Once that's done, I'll be adding some heart glitter to the hearts. For Caleb's charms, I'll be making them orange. Based off what's appeared in game and in the Chibi comics, it seems Caleb's color is meant to be orange due to the highlights in his hair for the comics as well as the wall color for his desk area. This is how I determined the colors for the other guys as well. Xavier's is a light purple, Zane's is blue, Raphael's is pink, and Silas is red, despite him wanting to be a contrarian with his wall color. Okay, now that the glitter's in, we're going to let this sit for a few hours. When I come back to work on these, the resin will be just cured enough that I can put a new layer on it without it bleeding through the first. And with that time skip, the resin has cured enough and I've mixed up the bit of resin that I need for this part. I'll be using the Tangerine Dream mica powder from Mad Micas. They make sure that their mica powders are ethically sourced, so I like using them. And I'll be using a bunch of orange glitters. So I don't overpour the amount of resin that I need for this part, I'll be using this pipette. So now just a quick mix and stir and we'll have our orange backing. Okay, and now we let this rest and cure for 24 hours. Laters. A full curing process later, and we can take them out. They're so sparkly. So now we gotta prep them for the backing. So I'm gonna go and sand them. Okay, now that I have the backs of these scratched up like Caleb's when I'm attempting his hunter's contests, I'm gonna glue on the bales. I use E6000 glue for this. Normally I get the clear one, but I didn't read it when I got this one, so. We're going to let this dry, and then once it's done drying, I'm going to put a thin layer of UV resin on the back to secure it down, just to make sure they don't become detached on the keychain, because I've had that happen in the past, and it was not fun to remake those. Glue's dry, so now to prep the front before I dome the back. Normally I use liquid latex for this, but I ran out. So if you need a substitute or you're allergic to latex like me, you can use PVA glue or school glue on the smooth side to protect it. Take a cheap paintbrush or a silicone brush and cover it in goop. Once the charm is thoroughly covered in the goop of choice, let it dry completely. Yay, more waiting! Okay, time for the last bit of resin for the back. The glue is dry and it has its UV resin cured. So, we're gonna dome these. I use a different resin for doming. Basically, when doming, you want a resin that's self-leveling, like tabletop epoxy. Otherwise, you risk gaps in your resin when it cures. So once again, I'll be stirring this for 5 minutes, trying to minimize those bubbles. For my mica powder, I'll be using Here Comes the Bride from Mad Mica. And I'll also be using this white colorant that has seen much better days. Then we carefully spread the resin on the backs of the charm. Personally, I always take extra care to make sure that the area near the bale is extra covered. And with both of them covered, we wait another 24 hours for this to cure completely. Laters! Alright, they're cured, deglued, and looking fabulous. All we have to do is just put the keychain together. And for Caleb's charm, I'll be adding an apple to the bottom where his picture will be. I'm going to be using a headshot from the drawing that I made of him. And here he is, all done. I really liked how it turned out. Though for future ones, I might make the orange a little bit lighter and his picture a little bit bigger. The image I used for the charm is from a sticker and button that I made for him as well. Welcome to the group, Caleb. People have been waiting a long time for you to come back. Thank you for making it this far in the video, guys. Let me know if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Later. Bye-bye.